3, 2, 1. Hey, welcome back. Literally as we went live. Hello, I would like to welcome everyone as we talk about one of America's most famous presidents, um, Lyndon B Johnson. No, wait, JFK. Um, Today on the 60th anniversary of his death. Okay, so I would like to welcome to the panel Kusri, previously known as Maxis, for those of you who are just wondering who Kusri is. Then there's Jacob Ironside, there's Jet Sparks, FPS, and Bubba will be joining us, but he just has some work stuff. Now, who's in the chat? We have Late.
Oh, Farm.
Thanks for pointing it out, Parv. Mean. Anywho. Hey, Farv. Okay, so JFK was actually like a really, really interesting president. He oversaw America during a pivotal time, like civil rights.
Yep.
He like the space race. One of his most famous quotes was that they'll get to the moon by the end of the decade, not because it is easy, but because it is hard. And they were going to the moon because it was there.
Yep.
Hey, Philip Blair. Mankind must put an end to war before war puts an end to mankind. So, yes. So, he was one of the people who came up with the MAD directive, mutually assured destruction. Also, that man was
unintentional.
That's what she said. That man slept with Marilyn Monroe.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Kennedy what a legend.
Kennedy was an absolute legend. Yes.
Bruh,
yeah,
no, I read some more stuff about Kennedy too, where like apparently he had that dog in him when it came to the ladies.
One of the things I'm going to get a picture of it, but I'm just going to go to the Americans. Any of you have any like interesting facts or things that you know about Kennedy that you find interesting about him?
Well, we do know after Martin Luther King was arrested in Birmingham, his wife Coretta actually called the White House and got through with Kennedy personally.
Yeah.
I do have an interesting tidbit. Other people that died on the same day as JFK was C.S. Lewis and Aldous Huxley.
That is actually interesting. One of the things that I actually find interesting as well was his desk. Right? So I'm going to add the pictures of it. And while we wait, let's just start a political discussion. No. So this is the desk, also known as the Victory Desk. Now, most of you may know it from the Nicolas Cage movies, National Treasure, right?
Yeah, this is the Roosevelt desk.
Yeah, but he was one of the few presidents who would always have their kids in the Oval Office, right? So he had a play door added in. Now, given JFK's proclivities for extramarital affairs, having that door right there, you know.
Yeah.
Yes. Robin, it's been confirmed that door was used for many more things than children's imagination.
It was used for a different type of playtime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Now it's not as wholesome anymore. Thanks.
It went from wholesome to wholesome.
Great.
Yeah. So
more.
JFK served in the Navy during World War II. Now, he came from a prominent Irish family, the Kennedys, who came from the Wexford area back in the 1800s. Say, watch that, Sparks?
I just want to do this little impression. Over the sea, let's go, man. We're shoving her off again. I just want to do that in that Kennedy impression.
Yeah. Hold on now. Then
Continue.
we have Billy needed that desk. might not have gone call. No, Billy needed to learn to shut the fuck up and hire better blowjob women. I find that GFK was with President Eisenhower interesting. Eisenhower warned us. JFK took Eisenhower's warning seriously and tried to do something about it. Yeah. Now, one of the things he did stop was the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yes.
We have, I would like to welcome to the panel everyone's 15th favorite pirate, Francis, also known as Bubba. So, in the Cuban Missile Crisis, there was actually a misorder given to one of the ships, right? To one of the Russian ships to tell them to fire. The captain of the ship would not listen, and he was responsible for saving the world. But I forget his name. But the captain was then actually arrested for disobeying an order. The man who saved the world from the Cuban Missile Crisis was arrested.
I guess they were really trigger happy to start the apocalypse that day.
It was a glitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it doesn't compare to the other Russian officer that noticed that false telemetry, and thusly said, "No, let's not do that order."
That happened several times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh. A load of the stuff like JFK was real good friends, like as Jet Sparks was saying, with Martin Luther King.
Yes.
I don't know much about that, like not being American. It's not really.
Well, I know that's the whole point. That after the march in Birmingham that went with a lot of heavy police action where they actually used hoses on the protesters, and of course, Dr. King himself was arrested.
Where they had the famous photos with the dogs.
Yes, and them using fire hoses on them as well.
Yeah,
and of course the person who was the police commissioner of the Birmingham police at the time, Bull Connor. Yeah, he was personally reprimanded by Kennedy himself.
Good. Like there was a lot of like fuck ups and he was going to get like the votes like put in, but sadly it was Lyndon B Johnson who signed it in right after his death.
He was his vice president, right?
Yes, Lyndon B Johnson was vice.
So once in the event of a president being killed or incapacitated, the vice president is sworn in under oath. So
about that, when Johnson was being sworn in, it was on the plane with his body, with like Kennedy's body underneath not Area 51,
Air Force One.
Thank you, Air Force One, and then Kennedy's wife was covered in blood when Johnson was sworn in.
Yep.
Wow.
Right there on the airplane.
Yep. Which was like, here, I'll get the colorized one. Her husband was not even like cold. And they had him sworn in. Boop, we did this.
To be fair, that was the first time in modern history. That was the first time in modern history our country had ever faced anything like that. The previous assassination being quite a ways back. that there was a lot to cover in a time of crisis.
Yeah, like the last big assassination before that was Archduke Ferdinand. That was the last large assassination.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, Franz Ferdinand and the actual assassin, Gavrilo Princip, was a Serbian student who was sent to Sarajevo to live with his brother. But of course, he immersed himself with the Serbian nationalist black group known as the Black Hand. And I know there were several other people. Like, of course, the one of them was actually also connected to them. The one one of them who tossed a grenade.
Yeah, like
I think his name was Milko Kabrinovic.
We should talk about that one day because that was actually a big fuck up, like coincidence after coincidence that led to
a series of fuck ups. Yes.
Yeah, and that's the whole point, though. Yeah, but yeah, I know a documentary I saw where they say that that person who tossed a grenade was in cahoots with the man who actually ended up shooting Ferdinand, and two, how it actually happened. Ferdinand was shot in the throat, and his wife Sophia was shot in the stomach.
Yeah, both of them died in the car. But back to Kennedy.
Sorry.
No. It's
man, no.
You know this channel. Tangents are always welcome.
Yeah. But I know we're gonna talk about the Ferdinand.
Yeah.
Soon.
But with Kennedy now, during the Cold War, there was a lot of radicals on both sides. Because I'm sorry, we have to acknowledge there was radicals on the American side as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that leads into the guy who shot him, Lee Harvey Oswald. Lee Harvey Oswald went to Russia, tried to give up his American citizenship to become Russian. He married a Russian girl, was absolutely communist. He was there for about 3 years, learned how to speak it, was there from the government, and was sent back. This has led into some conspiracy theories. Bubba, any conspiracy theories about this that you know?
So as far as him being a Russian conspirator, bear in mind the Cold War, and everything changed a lot of people's perceptions of Russia. The Iron Curtain, as it will.
During World War II, he was known. Russia was known as like they're friendly, like the polar bears and the penguins, and Joseph Stalin was Uncle Joe. And here is Lee Harvey Oswald with the gun that he shot Kennedy with.
Yep.
But you were saying, Bubba.
But as far as conspiracies go, some people, this is one I personally don't consider a conspiracy. He spent an awful lot of time over there and then came back and did one of the most anti-American things that an American can even fathom. And of course, coming so fresh from the Cold War and everything,
of course.
I have no doubt in my mind that is exactly what happened to him, what radicalized him, and what made him the way he was. Not that he wasn't radical to begin with. But,
no. He was already radical, like, going over there.
It just made it worse.
Yeah, and that's the whole point, though. Yeah. And that's the exact same thing that probably the reason why, the aforementioned, like, man who basically unleashed the First World War essentially was. He immersed himself in the political theories of communism around the time that was circulating in Russia, but only after the Bolshevik uprising did communism cement its place in Russia, and it still somewhat lingers to this day. I mean, just look at the person who's in charge.
Well, the marks of communism look at how big it was. And everyone there, it only fell in the 90s. So everyone in government today was the child of...
Wait, look, I want to look at that map. Wait, so Russia even had control over Mongolia at the time, too?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes, and the USSR, the Soviet Union, they were incredible in size, and that they were at the time one of the biggest threats of a superpower on the planet.
Yeah, and their territory and their entire territory spanned 1/7 of the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. Favre says that is such a convenient argument. There was more to it. Siding with Germans and communism. But that's one that's one people love to repeat. Yeah, no, I get.
If you don't mind me addressing that,
go ahead.
Is that map showing all of communist countries?
Yes,
yeah, of the USSR. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's USSR from the year that Kennedy was shot.
Well, that's also it's shown China too in red.
So the reason. Oh yeah, well they are, but they're that one's complicated. But the main to Favre's point, I'm not saying that was his sole purpose. The fact of the matter is Oswald, conspiratorially speaking, he did not act alone. He was somebody's tool. We just have to figure out who. Like the whole question is whose tool. And the thing is that the reason why that's such a popular argument is because nobody wants to believe the other extreme, which is the conspiracy that our own government had Kennedy assassinated. And again, this is just speaking of conspiracies, but that's just to answer Favre's point there.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of after the shooting, they tried to get all the footage back from everyone, out of all the people there. There's a woman known as the Babushka lady, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, let's see if I can find her. Here she is. So I'm going to put the photo up. Colorized over now. The FBI have been searching for her, but never found her identity, right? Because I'll share my screen. Bubba, I meant the argument about the way things were going at. Sorry, Favre, I'm trying to show streamers is doing the thing. Where people were going, and not Oswald specifically.
Oh, okay, I understand now.
Okay, so here we go. So they were looking for this lady right here, like Babushka lady, as she was known. She has one of the best footage of the execution of the assassination of Kennedy, but she has never come forward.
And for all we know now, she may have taken it to the grave with her.
She honestly, given the times, she was more than likely a Russian immigrant who barely spoke a lick of English. So she wouldn't have even known. And then given the USSR, and Favre will be able to attest to this, right? That known the USSR and the distrust for the government and the authorities, she would have been scared to come forward. She might have even destroyed a camera.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is another major point in how everything is so implicated and why it's considered why it's one of the most complex pieces of history.
Yeah, exactly.
And she might have been disappeared too.
That is also possible. Like she might have legitimately said, "I've got the camera." No, but in my own personal opinion, I think she got rid of it. I think she burnt the camera and was like, "Nope, I'm done. No, I'm not doing this." Because going from Europe and known people of that generation, my grandparents were basically children of a revolution, right? They didn't trust the police.
Yeah.
They didn't trust the authorities. Like, my grandma was scared of the guards.
Well, even in my family, both of my grandparents on my mom's side, they grew up during the Great Depression, and they, if it's kind of like what President Reagan said, the scariest words, known to man, we're from the government and we're here to help. Like, they come from that generation where, if the government intervened, usually it meant that people were losing control of their own lives. And so that's just where that mentality comes from.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But given the time period, because you also have to remember a lot of these people. I mean, if you look at the age of Babushka lady, right? She's not young. I'm going to say she was born around 1900, right?
Yeah.
So if this is her here, right? So let's say she was born around 1900. So she has seen World War I, the fall of her empire, the rise of communism in her country. Then she would have had to fled her country. She would have had to seen all these other kingdoms falling. The world as she knew it gone. She didn't know. She would have been terrified.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and then going to America, then you had like the civil rights all the time. From her point of view, the world was on fire.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, and okay, I'm going to ask a very stupid question. Okay? How actually instrumental was JFK in civil rights?
I would say very instrumental, because if it wasn't for Coretta Scott King actually calling him, he would not be pardoned personally by the president. And therefore also literally only months later, like earlier in that year, during the March on Washington would not happen. That was like the most pivotal point of Dr. King's career, was of course the March on Washington.
Yeah,
And his
says,
I have a dream speech.
Hold on. Farr says, anyone who survived Stalin would have been terrified by such an event in the new country. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Bubba.
Okay. All I was going to say is to how instrumental he was in civil rights. At that time, he was the most powerful, most influential political figure to openly, they had presidents in the past state that they were, when they were not in office, state that they were supportive of them then. Kennedy was the first one to, while in office, actually make policy and to openly support them. So even if you take away the things that he actually did, as far as the things that he openly supported before and after, or I guess after he's president he was dead, but you get the point. If you take everything he had done up to that point, the fact that he openly supported civil rights while in the office of the president of the United States, that was the validation that the movement needed from the government.
Yeah.
But Jet Sparks, you had something to say, and then we'll go to you, Jacob.
Yeah, like I said, he was very instrumental in that whole thing. But the thing is, and because he also reprimanded the police commissioner Bull Connor of the Birmingham Police Department as well. Most likely if King was just left to rot in prison, most likely the March on Washington and his famous "I Have a Dream" speech would never have happened, and another thing that was a pivotal moment in civil rights. But of course, also fate would have it, just only a few months later, that Dr. King himself would be assassinated.
Yeah, now there's a load of conspiracies about that, but honestly, I don't believe any of them. I'm talking about conspiracies, not the actual, like, we know why.
Like, I know, like, if you look at an episode of The X-Files, there's a character called the Lone Gunman who is responsible for both who knows about the assassination of both Kennedy and Dr. King.
Yeah.
And they're all careful plans of the syndicate.
That's just, yeah. The TV writers love to take history apart and put it back together to make up
a good
Oh yeah, like you can't beat a good conspiracy theory. Oh, Farv, we weren't saying that it was real. We were just saying that that's like a TV show.
Yeah.
Oh, he said no. That's the cigarette smoking man.
I thought the smoking man knew that from the Lone Gunman, or that's the name, or the Lone Gunman was the name of the episode where we know, Carl Gerard Bush, otherwise known as, CGB.
Yeah, but Jacob, you wanted to say something?
Oh, Jet Sparks said it. Sorry.
Jet Sparks. Yeah. The whole thing about what the cigarette smoking man did. Yeah. He has.
Weirdly enough, right? We're talking about like coincidences. The route of his route, like the entirety of his whole Dallas trip was changed. Like they had plans, they had a different car, they had like a shielded car, one with a roof, but he was like, no, he wanted to wave out to the people. Like this car for president is not very secure, and they knew this.
Yeah.
Like they knew how unsecure it was. Favre said, Splendor. Oh, Spender.
Jeffrey Spender.
Yeah. Now, a few days beforehand, they had originally planned to go down the Blue Route. Go across and go by in front of the library and go down. Right? Yeah. But instead, they went down Main Street.
Yep.
Wait, and then that's where he was fired right around that car? Am I correct?
Where?
I think so, because his perch was in the library.
Yeah. So if you go from the library, I don't know. Yeah, you can't see my mess, but if you go from the library and go down, that's where he was shot. Now he was shot twice. Now, at this moment, I'm not going to talk about conspiracy. I'm just going to talk about what the medical records state. The medical records state that he was shot twice. One bullet went right through his neck, which threw his head forward, which is this one. The bullet went there, shattering his spinal column, going all the way through, shattering his
cervical vertebrae. Because if you get shot through the neck, usually between C2 and C3, it's instantaneous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then after that, he was then shot through the head. Now, this did blow the top of his skull off. Now, Jet Sparks pointed out something which was interesting, but there is a logical explanation that there was photos seen of him with his head intact. The reason for that is that to basically conceal and try to save his brain, remember it was the 60s, that they folded down the flap back over it.
Right.
Ew.
It wasn't very pretty. But
nope.
After he had passed away, Lyndon B Johnson was immediately sworn into office.
Right.
And that is where the manhunt began. They went up to the... Right. Oh, hold on. Boop. There we... Oh! Okay, so... There was 3 shots. 1 missed. 2 kills. 1 hit a security guard. So he was up here in the office. came down because I was mistaken. He was meant to go down the motor route, but he was actually shot over here instead, which did give people saying that there was a second shooter on the lawns. But there's the county jail, and now so they were originally told check all the windows. They were actually told to check the windows, but they didn't because it was too much money. The CIA wasn't as nearly funded as it is today back then.
Oh yes, that's the whole reason why. Which really supposedly is what.
Yeah, like today they'd basically send everyone to every single place that there was an open window. They'd have drones. They'd have tech that like Batman can dream of. Right?
Yep.
But
Right.
back then they would have to do it manually. You want to say something, Bubba?
I was just saying that again, like you said, moving away from conspiracy. So yeah, you take off the table all the conspiracies about them being in on it,
Yeah.
and of course you move to incompetence or to lack of resources, which both can be incredibly dire. And in my humble opinion, both might have been true. But the this it definitely plays into the fact that the job did not get done. That all the precautions they were supposed to take, the routes being changed, everything, there was a job to do, and it did not get done. And because of that, we lost a sitting president of the United States,
and possibly one that could have caused a lot of great political change. Because I think some people probably saw Kennedy as very young and idealistic.
No, that is true, but I'm going to say something. I think his death made more changes than his life, because right after he died, the right to vote and full rights for African Americans was signed into action
after his death.
Yeah, which would have taken if he was alive. That was like there was people holding up on that in office, like in different places. There was people debating it, still like people screaming and shouting about it. Then when he died, it was immediately signed into action.
Well, you have to think if it was signed in immediately after his death, he probably already had it being written and like being put into place just before he was assassinated.
No, he had it there a while. He wanted it signed in, but he couldn't because no one is like passing. Then Lyndon B Johnson, one of the weirdest presidents ever, got it signed into office because he used like, oh, this is Kennedy's last will. This is what he wanted, and then he got it signed in.
I think also though, Jet Sparks was on something, saying that I think Kennedy definitely could have revolutionized and did a lot more social change to America, or at least put the paving stones down to lead to that road.
Yeah, and the same thing could have also applied to Dr. King if he wasn't assassinated. He probably could have gotten further into politics, and heck, he could have also been the president of the United States for all we know.
Well, but taking that into perspective for a moment, the fact, and even if, the thing is that even if their deaths are not technically connected, it is fair to say that them and the other figures,
they're politically connected. If you get me,
yeah, and I agree with that. Like, just common sense, dictates that the reason why men had to die in that particular, or it was felt that those shockwaves got sent through. America is a very still, and especially at that time, still a very young country, and has done a lot in a very short amount of time. Has 2 world wars, a Great Depression, and everything else. We have seen the ups and downs of empires, millennia older than us. and these two men happen to be they happen to be the two ushers of change on a global scale. There was no way that was going to happen and not make shockwaves. So one can argue that even taking the conspiracies away, the deaths of the deaths of JFK and Dr. King and others, that happened to die in that same year, it was a result of so much world change happening so fast.
Yeah. Just to give you some
I think there's a
context.
JFK quote about something similar to that, Bubba, where it's like about progress. It's like something about progress, though.
Hold on, I'll have a look.
I know there's probably one out there somewhere where like JFK speaks about.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact quote, but I know what you're saying. I know what you're talking
I think
about.
it's about like how
Our progress as a nation can be no swifter than our progress in education. The human mind is our fundamental resource.
Yep. And we see how that's gone.
He says,
Yeah.
change is the law of life. And those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. Now, JFK was also instrumental in disbanding, or starting the disbanding of the KKK.
oh yeah,
They were huge at the time. Which a lot of people, you don't really think of how much progress we've made in so fast. Honestly.
Yeah.
But just a bit of context, Martin Luther King, Betty White, and the little German girl who died in World War II.
And Frank.
And Frank.
Thank you. And Frank. Were all born in the same year.
yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
That's actually wild.
Wow.
Yeah, until you
Which
hear somebody
means-
say that out loud, it's that wow. Yeah, I'd never actually thought about that.
I didn't
Which
know that. I
means-
mean, I knew the whole like like the Martin Luther King and Betty White thing, but I didn't know about Anne Frank. That's crazy.
Yeah, which means that if after World War II, Anne Frank could have come over with Otto Frank if she had survived, gone to school and been a political leader in America, then you would have had Martin Luther King living up until nearly now. He could technically still be alive.
Yeah, he could be.
Yeah.
Or at least lived as long as Betty White.
Yeah, but
Fact.
I'd say he would have lived a little bit shorter because he was a little bit overweight. So I'd say he would have lived a little bit less than her. But
You never know.
I know, but the change that these men could have made.
Also, I imagine in the positioning that he was in, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say that he was probably under a lot of stress and high blood pressure for most of his life, being such like a progressive political figure, and he probably wouldn't have lived as long as probably somebody like Betty White, and so like that.
Well,
Who
Betty White, if you also remember, was an actress since the 1950s, so she was always health conscious. So you know what I mean?
Yes, but
I will say this though,
being sent death threat letters on a daily basis.
Yeah, we can agree though. Out of the three of them, Anne Frank wins the stress test there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh my god.
them boots
Yeah.
was shaking in the attic. That's for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Have any of you heard of the uncensored Anne Frank diary?
Yeah, but
Heard of it, yes.
we're aware that exists, but I think most people don't those are probably not widely available because there are a lot of things that she does talk about. And again, this is from the perspective of a teenager and her hormones were going crazy.
No, yeah, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm saying that there's other like historical and political stuff in it, like her opinions and everything that have been censored.
Oh,
It's been censored to hell and back.
Yeah.
Sadly, a lot of people probably don't even know who Anne Frank is.
What a shocker!
Yeah, and of course, you already know a certain washed-up pop star believed that she would have been a quote believer.
Yeah. So, Jacob, going to your point, people today don't know who Anne Frank is. They don't know what she did or what happened to her.
That's pathetic that people don't know.
Yeah, like in my country, they like.
To be fair, there are college students that don't know what the capital of the United States is. So you know.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it's L.A.
Yeah, like everyone knows it's like Los Angeles or Malibu or whatever. I don't know.
Oh my god! It's got to be Seattle.
The capital is New York.
No, one of the things I find shocking is that people don't know what DC and Washington DC stands for.
District of Columbia.
Yeah,
I mean it's not even a city. It's just a federal district. Technically, I mean, and even then, the people of that city are not.
They're not even allowed to vote in that district.
Yeah, you're not allowed to vote.
I wonder why though. Probably because like a quarter of them are fucking political figures.
Yeah, Favre says, people don't know Patton, Rommel, MacArthur, Anne Frank doesn't surprise me. And Grilla's thought says, "Hey, Grilla, good to see you, man." Wait, did I give?
Windmill on the line.
But honestly, the history stuff, like me and Coolsbury, used to like we talk about this stuff, like, and Bubba as well. The history that gets taught in America is shocking.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Especially the stuff they leave out.
Yeah.
Not to mention now they're trying to revise history with the whole
1645 project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, what's 1645?
What?
That is something we're not going to go into on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think I know what it is. Actually, I think I know what it is. We can talk about it later, though.
Yeah.
I think I on TikTok the other day.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. But with JFK and that, he was part of the space race. JFK basically his death. I know it's Favre's like, let's not be biased. Oh no. Plenty of countries play revisionist of history. Oh, definitely, Favre.
Yep. Yeah, America. We aren't like
both Eastern and Western countries.
Yeah, everyone is not. Every nation on the planet is guilty of some form of that.
So in my country, the British rule is always put down as a bad thing. I don't know if anything good happened to my country. Literally, I wasn't taught if anything was good. It was just taught like 800 years of sadness and oppression. Where?
Yeah.
But with JFK, he inspired the entirety of the 60s. Like JFK, was there. He's after inspiring so many movies, TV shows, characters. There was one that Jacob was talking to me about in DMs, 11/22/66. Like, sorry, 63. That is a fucking great show. You want to talk about it for a sec, Jacob?
Yeah, I haven't finished it, but yeah, we can talk about it a little bit.
Well, okay, let's not, because I don't want to give you spoilers.
Oh.
But essentially, it's a what if story, which is interesting in itself. But it's like, what if JFK wasn't assassinated? What would happen? Which there could be 10,000 things that could have happened. Like, for as such as a great president as he is, it is very possible JFK could have faded away into obscurity.
Possibly.
Or he could have possibly come up with a new sexually transmitted disease named after him.
Who knows?
Oh, God.
We don't know. He could still do that. Like, that could still resurface.
Maybe the reason why they changed the president's office after each president is because of JFK.
Oh.
Hey, Tim,
That's
so
not
good to see you,
right.
man. No, what I'm saying is,
I'm just messing around, man. I was being silly.
I'm just saying what I'm saying is the reason why they changed is I know it's every president's like own choice, but Lyndon B Johnson really started the tradition because he didn't want everyone to look at his office and say he's in JFK's office.
And I understand that.
Yeah. So he started it. But what are your opinions of Lyndon?
LBJ got us into, deeper into Vietnam.
Yep.
Got a lot more people killed.
Agendas have to be met.
And it's also the reason why the whole war was a failure, just like in modern times. It's just, I mean, again, we already have seen the modern equivalent of what happened in Vietnam today.
Well, I'm going to say this. Lyndon B Johnson was not prepared to be a president. He was not wanting to be a president. He was never meant to be a president.
Yeah, no, that's the whole point. But that's the whole point. So that one aspect of the government. That's why the line of succession exists for the executive branch of the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but at that time, you have to understand, in well over 200 years, we have only had 2 presidents assassinated. That's actually a really good track record for even as young as our country is. So, somebody like Johnson could become he could become the vice president and never have expectation to be the president of the United States.
I forget who it is, but there's one vice president who, when George Bush Sr. went under the knife to get some surgery done, he wrote a letter to his granddaughter, signing it as the President of the United States of America.
Yeah. He might have been acting president, maybe? I don't know.
No, he was the acting president, but you don't sign things as acting president. You are the president whilst the president's incapacitated.
Right.
Yes. Right. And that's the whole point.
Yeah. So it's like, whilst the president's incapacitated for 3 hours, I'm going to write this letter whilst I'm the president.
You're saying you would.
That is, I mean, that's a nice flex. You got to admit.
Yeah, I'd be like, are you kidding me? If the internet would have existed back then, I'd be like, yo, bro, I know this man. Be rocking this presidential chair real quick.
Go to the porcelain office and rather than the Oval Office, and tell everybody that you're tweeting from the John.
Yeah, exactly.
There's 10 minutes left in the stream. Let's have a bit of fun. Let's crack open that book. Who wants to talk some conspiracies?
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, what I will say
first, it's a long-winded one.
Why are you saying Jet Sparks?
Yeah, well, here's what I'm going to say here. Okay, Lee Harvey Oswald shoots Kennedy. Then Jack Ruby shoots Oswald live on camera. And then what happens to Jack Ruby? He got killed, didn't he?
Like he had cancer. He died of cancer.
Oh,
yes, but you're not telling me that he just accidentally got cancer.
Jack Ruby
and here we are in the conspiracy.
Aged 55.
My mom actually saw Ruby kill Oswald on TV.
A lot of people did.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, seriously. I mean, was it like was he probably part of the?
No, he was. So just going back to this, because I was talking about conspiracy just for a bit of fun, but no, Ruby was a militant. Like, fuck you! How dare you do this? He was a militant supporter of Kennedy.
Yep.
And when he was taken out by Oswald, he viewed it upon himself that I'll take out his shooter.
So this was simply an act of this supposedly really was an act of vengeance.
Yes. His mother, he used to live with his mother, and honestly, he was really a pathetic man. He used to live with his mother, and all him and his mother used to do all day is watch television. So that's the people who live their lives on the internet.
No.
But no, they used to only watch Kennedy. That's it. Nothing else. He had like plates of Kennedy, cups of Kennedy. His house was basically a JFK like wank off museum. Yeah, a JFK shrine. Before he died.
Yeah.
And then after he died, he viewed on himself as like he'll go down in history and be remembered. Which he did.
Well, yeah, I was fixing to say it worked.
Later, Favre.
Have a good night, man.
But yeah. So that's what the deal was with him. He was a genuinely pathetic man.
But talking about the conspiracies for a moment, it is easy, to look at the situation, knowing what we know about Oswald, knowing what we know about Kennedy and the other assassinations from that year, including MLK.
Yes.
The thing to remember. It was what I was saying before.
Dr. King was shot like several months later in 1964, April 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still close together. You know what I mean? Wait. Okay, I got him mixed up. Okay, not the point. In that time frame. Sorry, we're not just talking about. I meant the same decade, but that's not the point. The point is that in this time, you have a lot of turbulence. The 60s were a crazy time to be anywhere in the world, whether it be the wars, whether it be the politics, no matter where you were at, everything. There's a reason why we remember the 60s with such, the music scene was incredible because everything was a big deal. That there was no, there were no small things in the 60s. Everybody was out to change the world. Everything was done with the purpose.
Never mind. Tangent here. I think I got the date. I got the date wrong. It was 1968 is when King was assassinated, not 64.
It's the same decade.
It was in the same decade. The point is that they were not the only two that died that decade, and by assassination, and they certainly weren't the only ones making big waves in the media.
The technological differences. The 1959, people started the year listening in on the wireless, right?
Yeah.
1969. They were watching television with early VHSs.
Yep. Yeah.
Like the
But
technology.
it is. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just saying to that point is, Vietnam was the first war that was televised. We would see, wars before that, right up to the Korean War, we would see clips, but the first time the people back home got a dose of what the soldiers went through every day, they had a tendency to blame the soldiers. But it's all about the mentality of it. It's all about seeing the nitty gritty that everybody likes to ignore. Everybody likes to pretend doesn't happen when you're faced with actually understanding, and not seeing it in full, not living the experience, but seeing an ugly snapshot of something that is hard, something that requires sacrifice, something that requires decisions to be made. And that goes back to my overall point. The entire point, almost anybody that came to prominence in the 60s, they were trying in some capacity, some way, whether they were political leaders, whether they were musicians, singers, songwriters, whether they were actors, whether they were, anything. Their point was to control the world. Their whole point was to change the narrative of the world. And to that end, I do believe that the powers that be, whether you want to, and we can't lay this on any one government. I believe that they were dealt with because they came close to actually causing real change. And the reason why I disagree with your earlier statement, Revan, is because these men, I feel like if they were not capable of changing the world, they wouldn't be dead.
For
I do.
Reasons, I'm just going to say these opinions are the opinions held by Bubba, and that I'm just saying that for algorithm reasons. I thought
I did a good job of stating.
Oh,
that
you
this was
did.
my
No,
opinion.
you did. It's just I'm just legitimately saying the words.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, these opinions are mine and mine alone, and others might share them, but I'm stating them on my own volition here. But
Talking about,
anyway,
mine and mine alone. Given how long and how many people are here, Jet Sparks, buddy. We'll start with you tonight. You want to start chilling out your stuff, and we wrap this up?
All right, yeah. So again, I am JetSparks373. I am on YouTube. I have a link tree to all other social media like Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter and X, formerly known as Twitter. And recently, just before I came on here, I was on a podcast that was streamed on Streamlabs via Discord called the Gaming Den, where we talked about video game movies from my good friend Bear64, and we also had Drew Games as well.
Hey, the link is in the chat, Jet Sparks, if you want to.
For his stream.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Thank you. So yeah, go check out the Gamer Den. Yeah, we go live every Friday.
Go to my channel and you slip down to friends of the channel, you'll see Jet Sparks is listed there as well. So is FPS, so is Phil TMNT. I'll add in Jacob as well. But yeah, Phil's Jet Sparks, his main channel is listed on the front page of this YouTube channel. You done, Jet Sparks?
Yeah. I was gonna put a link to.
Oh, if you find a link, buddy, just drop it. I'll highlight it still for you.
Okay. Hang on.
Jacob.
Yeah. Tuesday I'm going to be going over the movie Shadow of a Doubt. Alfred Hitchcock movie. That's
fantastic.
Pretty much all I got coming up.
Thanking you. Kusri, did you have a good Thanksgiving?
It was a great can of Chef Boyardee. and a good time with friends. So,
Well, that is good. FPS, you want to share your stuff? FPS? Okay, he don't exist anymore. Guys, go check out Race by FPS over on Twitch. He does Destiny, he does other games, and a lot of fun over there. Hey, Bubba.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm over on X. I am Geek Hero Bubba, and if you want to see me geek out or argue with people who are wrong constantly, that is the best place to find me.
Yeah, so go check him out at Geek Hero Bubba. I would like to thank all of you for coming to join us. I would especially like to thank Jet Sparks, because he must be wrecked. It's getting late for him, and he's just come off of another stream. FPS, hey FPS, welcome back. Okay, I'd like to thank Jacob for taking time out of his day to come and join us.
Yeah, had a good time.
I'd like to thank Bubba for him taking his time to make liberals cry to come and join us. And Kusri, I told you that can of Chef Boyardee was poisonous. Don't eat it.
Just because it was stuffed with ground turkey and each ravioli does not make it poisonous.
Yeah,
that even sounds gross.
Oh, no, FPS, we're after shilling for you. I'll do it for. I've already done it for you, man. If you want to talk, but guys, everyone have a fantastic night. God bless, and remember, don't shoot presidents. It's a messy occupation.